PK in the universe, and I am back again with another video. It's been about a week since my last video I made. I want to say thank you to everybody who commented on that video. Haven't responded back to anybody. I got kind of overwhelmed with just life in general. I just mostly left, hearts and likes and stuff. And I did see and read the comments, and I hear you and I appreciate you guys commenting on my video. But anyways, I want to get to my Xbox collection, Xbox 360 collection. So I have games on the Xbox and Xbox 360. I don't actually have an Xbox One or a Series X, but maybe I will get one at some point. I'm always kind of a little bit late to the party on these things for the most part, especially when it comes to Xbox for whatever reason. But I do have a collection of games, so I wanted to share them with you guys. Not doing this just for insurance purposes, but it's not a bad thing either, right? Right? But anyways... Yeah, so I want to share my Xbox games. So first we're going to start with my Xbox 360. I got an Xbox 360 in the back there. I didn't get my Xbox 360 till 2017. That's right, I got an Xbox 360 in 2017 on Black Friday from GameStop for $60. $60 is how much I spent. And, I've gotten controllers over time from like the thrift stores and stuff like that. And I had to get like a, hard drive for it too, I think, and I got a Wi-Fi adapter for it, I want to say. And then I got my original Xbox back there. I think I bought that at a thrift store at some point, but I had bought an Xbox from GameStop back in like 2005 or 2006, I remember. And yeah, I remember it breaking on me, honestly. I think like just games just wouldn't work on it. And it was a refurbished one from GameStop. So I learned my lesson about buying refurbished original Xboxes from GameStop. But you know what? I really do like the Xbox and Xbox 360. It's something that's kind of grown on me. I was always kind of a bit of a PlayStation fan, but I really do appreciate Xbox. And I think if I was going to jump to next gen, or current gen, I should say, really, with the Xbox Series X and PS5, I might seriously go with the Xbox Series X. I really like the games that are being offered. Like Starfield, obviously, has been really popular, and people have been talking about that. And there's been that 30 frames per second controversy. I'll probably just get that game on PC. I do have a pretty decent PC. I probably do need to do a slight bit of an update, but it wouldn't cost a lot, honestly, to do a little bit of an upgrade. Not as much as it would cost me to buy an Xbox Series X. So, might consider doing that, but... yeah, really like a lot of stuff that the Xbox has to offer, so I'm going to show you guys my collection. So here we go. First up, let's start with the Xbox 360 games. We got Halo Combat Evolved, the Anniversary Edition. The Anniversary Edition. Played this a little bit, had a lot of fun with it. I remember playing the original a lot of years ago. A little memory I have is on my very first deployment over to the Middle East. There was LAN parties. They used to have LAN parties of people playing Halo on Xbox. That was really something else, that you could connect a bunch of Xboxes together like that. That was something else for sure. I think one of the great things about doing collection videos like this is it reminds me of all the games that I need to play. And there's a lot in here. There's a lot that I've missed out on. And then there's some games I played on the PS3 or the PS2. So it's not like I don't know anything about the games I'm talking about, but I do. It's hit or miss for sure. Halo 4. Still have not played Halo 4 yet. Not packaged for individual sale, it says right on the front. That's interesting. So I wonder if this actually came with an Xbox or something like that. I mean, if you guys know, comment below. Mass Effect. My first experience playing Mass Effect was actually on PS3 when the trilogy actually came as like one giant bundle. And that was a big deal because before that, Mass Effect 2 and 3 came to PS3, but did not come, the first one did not come there. So I got this right here. I actually printed off my own cover, actually, because I'd gotten this like loose, or I think I got it loose, or the original packaging was damaged or something. But yeah, I printed off my own cover. Don't know how close you can tell, if you guys can even tell at all from this video here. But yeah, Mass Effect 2. I'm probably in the minority of people who think this, but I did not like Mass Effect 2 as much as I liked the first one. I got pretty far in it, and I don't know what it is, but I just really like how the first game worked. I don't know what it is, but I just really like the formula of the first one. The third game, Mass Effect 3, I don't actually have that on Xbox 360, weirdly enough. I've seen it really cheap, and I always forget that I don't actually have it. I do have it on Wii U though. I have it on Wii U, and for some reason I always have trouble playing the game. And I don't know if it has something to do with my sound bar or something like that, but like the audio wasn't syncing up. It was really weird. It's really weird. I don't know what's wrong with the Wii U version. Maybe that's just a me thing. Maybe I need to play it on a different TV or something. Maybe that's the issue. Have no idea. But I've heard people having issues with sound bars or something and the syncing wasn't working right. I don't know. Speaking of games on the Wii U, another game I have on the Wii U is Darksiders War Master Edition. But I don't have the sequel on Wii U, but I do have it on Xbox 360. I still have not even played the first one, so I'm really hesitant to try this one, honestly, but I will get to it at some point. This is a game I got really cheap at GameStop, and that's Lost Planet Extreme Conditions, Colonies Edition, I guess. This is one of those platinum hits. I don't know what happened to the original platinum box, honestly. I think it was broken, and I just replaced it. It's another instance where I replaced something. Too Human. I've heard so many good things about this. My best friend Andy, he always tells me about this game. I think this is one of those games that it was the reason he bought an Xbox 360. Still haven't tried it yet. I would like to at some point. I mean, again, I have so many games to play, and it's hard to choose sometimes. Up next is Gears of War 2. I've never played any of the Gears games. I'm ashamed to say that, honestly, because I've heard so many good things, once again, about the Gears games. So definitely want to check that out at some point. Up next is Quantum of Solace. Quantum of Solace is available on a lot of platforms. I actually have it on PS2 and PS3 as well. My first experience playing that game actually was on PS3. I remember playing it for a little bit and I was having a hard time getting into it. A friend of mine, Cliff, actually started playing it and he was like, "Can I borrow this?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then, the next day he told me he beat it. So, he was really into first-person shooter games at the time. I was not as much. I still, I kind of dabble in it. It's nice to go play a first-person shooter every so often. But, that game, I had a hard time. I couldn't get very far in it, but he seemed to like it, so I was glad somebody did. And up next is Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. Now, I used to really love the Assassin's Creed games. I really loved the first one. I loved the time period. It was awesome. The second one was really good too. I played the expansions like Brotherhood and Revelations. And then I got to Assassin's Creed 3, and that was it for me. I'd fallen out of love with the Assassin's Creed games, but I don't know why I bought that version. Have no idea. I think it was really cheap. That's probably why I got it. And, I always wanted to own the fourth one because that's when they stopped numbering them, which is a weird thing. Have they started numbering them again? I don't even remember anymore, honestly. Haven't been paying too close attention to that, but kind of got that for the sake of getting it. So up next, we got the Red Dead Redemption games. That's right. Now, I have not played these on the Xbox 360, but I did play them on PS3. I owned them on PS3 when they were brand new. I had bought all the DLC. Okay? And I was really into it. I would actually play that game online. I'm a big fan of Westerns. Can't say enough about Westerns. I tried Red Dead Redemption 2. I tried it and could not get very far into it and just kind of, got bored of it. I don't know. Maybe it was this, I don't know what it was. Maybe I didn't give it a fair shake. It's possible. But I have a huge love for the American Westerns. Love all the old Clint Eastwood movies and John Wayne Westerns. High Plains Drifter is probably one of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies. Steve McQueen was in a lot of good Westerns too. And Paul Newman, of course. I mean, who can forget Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? That's a classic. Jimmy Stewart, also in a lot of great Westerns. I love Westerns. I used to watch them religiously back in the day. I haven't watched them too many these days, but I used to really, really be into Westerns. And I was really into Westerns around this time period too, so that made it even more special, because I'd been looking for a Western game that I could truly enjoy. Now, I enjoyed the original Red Dead Revolver. Had a lot of fun with it, but Red Dead Redemption was just something else. It just took what they did and took it to a whole new level. It was incredible. And Undead Nightmare is a crazy, crazy expansion pack that is its own game, but is such a nice twist, with the zombies and everything. And it's just absolutely wild and not something I would expect from a Western game. can't say enough about Red Dead Redemption. I need to go back to that game, you know, and that's kind of why I rebought it on Xbox 360, is because my PS3 crapped out a long time ago, and I'm just hesitant to go back and buy a new PS3. It's like I've been through so many PS3s that have just died on me, but Old Faithful here just keeps working. Don't know why, don't know how, but it just keeps working. So I don't know. Maybe this was a refurbished one and I just never knew it, and they actually really did refurbish it. I have no idea, but it just works great. Another game from Rockstar that I absolutely adore is L.A. Noire. Another game I played on PS3. That was a game I got when it was brand new. Got all the DLC back in the day and absolutely adore this game. I love movies like The Black Dahlia. I love just noir films in general. Like, oh man, like, especially like the Humphrey Bogart stuff, you know. And any kind of like Philip Marlowe detective movie, I will just watch. You know, if I see it, you know, I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna watch that. You know, I love black and white movies, especially from the 40s and 50s. I love stuff that just takes you back to a really specific place and time. You know, and yeah, absolutely fantastic. If you've never played L.A. Noire and you love those detective stories from the 1940s and 50s, it's definitely worth checking out. Up next, we got Ghostbusters, the video game. I don't have this on PS3 anymore, but that's where I originally played it once again. And so I picked this up for pretty cheap. I do have it on Nintendo Switch as well, and that's kind of how I play it, because that's the remastered version. I kind of was under the impression that this would have multiplayer, and it does, I think, but you have to have an Xbox Live account or something like that. I think there's still online play, but there's not a real like 4-player multiplayer, which is kind of disappointing, but whatever, you know. I thought the Switch version was going to have multiplayer as well, but I don't think that ever happened. But yeah, the Ghostbusters video game is incredible. It's truly the real third Ghostbusters movie, but it's a game. You know, it's really a true successor to the first two movies, and it takes a lot of the best things about it. I like the Ghostbusters Afterlife movie. I thought it was okay. It was a movie. Was it as good as the original two? No. Was it better than the 2016 version? I mean, yeah, obviously. It's like, I didn't get the Ghostbusters 2016 thing. I didn't think it was a bad movie. I didn't think it was a good movie. It was very meh. It was very meh. I'm just very middle of the road. I don't think it was the worst thing I've ever seen, but it kind of, you know, missed the mark in a lot of ways. But it just, I don't know, it was weird. I didn't get the humor of it. I think it was okay. Like, again, I didn't hate it. I didn't think this is the worst thing I've ever seen, but couldn't get into it. At least with Ghostbusters Afterlife, you could tell it was a direct sequel. You know, it felt like a sequel, and that's kind of, I think, what people wanted at the end of the day. Was it the best movie I've ever seen? No. Was it a big old, you know, a lot of winks, you know, and stuff like that? Yeah. I'm interested to see how the next Ghostbusters movie will go. But this game, absolutely fantastic. You know, if you're really looking for a third Ghostbusters movie, it's right here in the form of a game. So, up next we got Blades of Time. Don't know a whole lot about this game. I heard it has like a rewind feature or something, and you're just hacking stuff. This was a cheap thrift store find. I want to play this at some point. It looks kind of cool. The graphics look nice. Yeah. Up next, we got Marvel Ultimate Alliance and Forza 2. Can't go wrong with a Forza game, obviously. Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember if I've played this or not. It's been a lot of years. This was a thrift store find. I believe I got it at a thrift store called On Angel's Wings. And that particular thrift store, it's a weird thrift store because it's also like an animal rescue place. So it's like they have thrift store stuff and then they have a bunch of animals. So sometimes like dogs would bark at me and stuff. Totally weird place, but interesting place to find some games occasionally. Sometimes I've found some really good deals there. So up next we got DuckTales Remastered on Xbox 360. DuckTales Remastered. This is a game I own 3 times, actually. I originally pre-ordered it digitally on the PS3 back in the day. Yeah, back in the day, you pre-ordered games digitally. That was like a new thing at the time. And there was a big discount. I think you could get like $2 off if you pre-ordered it. And yeah, I got it digitally on PS3. And then I got it digitally on sale on the Wii U. And my son played that game, and he played 95% of the game. I helped him get to the very end, because that very last part of the end where you have to jump up and over, and you have to, like, it's like a timed thing, like the fire's coming up or something like that. I remember you have to jump from place to place. I had to help him get through that because he was getting so frustrated. I remember that. But yeah, it's an awesome game. I think it's much easier than the original DuckTales. Now I do have a way to play the original DuckTales on PS4 through the Disney Afternoon Collection. But the HD version is very awesome, and it's not available on 7th or 8th gen systems, so it's definitely good to have it on Xbox 360. Though I'm sure it's backwards compatible with maybe Xbox One and Xbox Series, maybe? I don't know. Don't quote me on that, because again, I don't have those systems. So, up next we got Bayonetta. Why did I buy this? It's a weird reason I bought it. So there was a lot of controversy about Bayonetta 3 with the voice actress and some stuff. I don't know. I didn't really care about that stuff, but everybody's talking about Bayonetta, so I'm like, you know what? I'm a super cheap guy, so I grabbed myself a copy on eBay or something for, I don't know what I paid. It wasn't much. I know it was like under $10 at least. So yeah, I grabbed a copy of that. I think I played it for a couple of hours, and I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. Just not my kind of game personally, but I had a little bit of fun with it. I don't think it was a waste of my money, and maybe I'll come back to it at some point. Up next, we got Eternal Sonata. This game is an RPG. It's a weird game. Like, I've not actually played through too much of it, really. I got this sort of as a gift for my wife, but not the way you would think. My wife is not much of a gamer, okay? She plays certain games. Like, she'll play, like, Rayman Legends or Yoshi's Woolly World or something like that with my son. And they like to play Merge Dragons on the iPad, but not a lot of gaming they do. So my son does like a lot of gaming, but she doesn't. So anyways, my wife also happens to teach music part-time, and she likes music-related stuff. I'd gotten her this Pandora charm, okay, and it was in the shape of like a music note, I want to say, or headphones. Maybe it was headphones, yeah. So it was in the shape of that. So she likes music stuff, and she's got a Pandora bracelet, and I give her charms for it like every year, every 6 months or something like that. So she just keeps collecting them on her Pandora bracelet. So as a sort of sleight of hand, I gave her this game, and she was very puzzled that I got her this game. And then she opens it up, and then there is the charm. The charm is inside there. So that's why I got this game. And I think I got it for like $10 maybe, something like that on eBay. It was money well spent, honestly. I do want to actually try this game out. I've heard it's okay. I've heard it's okay from a lot of people, that it's a bit slow for an RPG, but that some people really liked it. So, and again, it's a cheap RPG on Xbox 360. How can you go wrong, right? And finally, a game that's technically playable on the Xbox One, and I found an Xbox One case that I actually put it in, and I printed off my own artwork. I printed off my own artwork because I found this game loose. This game belongs to a compilation, actually. A Far Cry compilation. That's right, folks. Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Available on Xbox One. You can also play it on Xbox 360, of course, and the Xbox Series X. I've played this a lot, but not actually on Xbox. I actually played it a lot, again, on PS3. I had got this game digitally when it first came out on PS3. It came out in like April of 2013, so it's been around for over 10 years now. And what can I say about it? This game is, the ultimate 80s future fantasy. It takes place in the far-flung future of 2007. You play as Rex-powered cult, half man, half machine, all awesome, kind of guy. It's definitely like a cool 80s post-apocalyptic world. And there's these blood dragons that shoot lasers out of their eyes, and you can kill them, and you're on this island. It's like, basically, it's a Far Cry game in the sense that they use the Far Cry engine, but that's really about it. And the guy who does the voice of Rex Power Cold, of course, is Michael Biehn from Terminator. He was Kyle Reese in Terminator. And he does a fantastic job, and there's just, it's so funny and cheesy and beautiful and perfect. It's definitely one of my favorite games on the Xbox 360 that I mostly played on the PS3. This is one of those games that's not available physically on PS3 or on any other platform, but it's just on the Xbox 360 via that compilation. So I got a loose disc of it, and basically I found an Xbox One case and I put this game in it and printed off my own artwork. Don't know if you can tell that I printed off my own artwork, and yeah, and it looks great. Looks great. I can't complain. It looks great in my drawer, in my Xbox 360 drawer. So up next, we got the original Xbox collection. Yep, we're into the original Xbox games. First up, we got Blinks 1 and Blinks 2. I don't know anything about these games, but I thought they looked cool, and I'm pretty sure I got them dirt cheap. I figure at some point my son is going to want to see the Xbox library and get into that, and I thought these games look like they could be cool for him. A game my son is definitely not old enough to play is Conquer Live and Reloaded. Holy cow. This particular copy I found at a Goodwill. Found it at a Goodwill like 10 years ago, and I got it for like $4 because they thought it was just some silly little mascot game. They had no idea what they had. Yeah, it was a Goodwill in Carpentersville, now that I think about it. Yeah, that was one of the best thrift store finds I think I've ever found, by far. So next we got Godfather the game. Don't know anything about this. I've seen the original Godfather trilogy back in the day. I thought, another gangster game, that looks pretty cool. Spyro the New Beginning. I have fond memories of playing Spyro the Dragon on PS1, but I don't know anything about New Beginning at all, to be honest. I kind of forgot I had that game, so I want to try that out again. It's another game that's like rated E10, so I think my son would enjoy that. A lot of times when I find games, I think to myself, would I play this or would my son play that? And if neither one of us would play it, I don't buy those type of games. Up next is Sonic Heroes. This is a game I think I used to have like on all 3 platforms, and I think I have it now just on Xbox if I'm not mistaken. Up next is Doom 3, and this is like a Blockbuster Video Edition, or Hollywood Video, excuse me, it's a Hollywood Video Edition one. Have not played this, heard good things about Doom 3, and I think you can buy it on modern platforms now. This is another game that I feel like was available on everything, and that's Gun. Gun is pretty darn good, actually. Do I think it's as good as Red Dead Revolver or Red Dead Redemption? No, but I had a lot of fun of what I played with it. It was great after playing something like Red Dead Revolver when you're like, man, I still have that, kick. I still have that itch to play a Western game, and then this game's everywhere, it seems like. It seems like it was on every platform. It was on GameCube as well. I should get the GameCube version at some point for sure. Up next is Advent Rising. I don't know a thing about this game. If you know something about this game, comment below in the comment section. Tell me more about it. Up next is Crimson Skies. Crimson Skies is one of those games that's super, super common. I see it every time I go into the thrift store, I swear. If I ever see an Xbox section in a thrift store, this game always happens to be there. I don't know what it is, unless it's all sports games. Those sports games are obviously more common, but this seems like the second most common Xbox game I always see. Used to see it everywhere. Every time I go in the thrift store, there it is, man. It's like everybody had a copy of that game. I think I tried playing it, couldn't get into it, but yeah, it's one of those games. It's like you kind of have to have that in your collection to have, say you have an Xbox collection, like everybody has that game. I don't know what it is about that game. Up next is Tomb Raider Legend. Tomb Raider Legend. I have not played this. I played the original Tomb Raider on PlayStation back in the day. I think this was a cheap thrift store find. I think is a strong possibility. I'll have to play that at some point for sure. Next is Pirates of the Caribbean. This was another like thrift store find, I'm pretty sure. This is like an action RPG, I want to say. I don't know if this was this always intended to be a Pirates game? I have no idea, but heard good things about it actually from a few people. So up next I got Half-Life 2. This was a game, I think I bought this game from eStarlin.com years and years ago. I remember I wanted to buy a bunch of games. I used to buy a ton of games on eStarlin's website like 10 years ago back in the day, especially when I was living in Japan. That was the nice thing about eStarlin is they would deliver to APOs and FPO addresses, which is like armed forces, I don't know, it's something armed forces addresses. So anyways, they would send it out that way. So sometimes I would buy more than one game, to just to really fill out my collection and stuff. And yeah, I think this was one of those games I got, and maybe, I don't know if this was the originally one, but maybe this wasn't the original copy I had and I upgraded it. I don't remember. I know I've had this owned this a couple of times. Never played this particular game because I always wanted to play the first one. I do have the first one on PC, actually. I have it on Steam, believe it or not. Yeah. So a friend of mine, Mrs. Q Dog, her and her husband, Mighty Q Dog, they have their own channel. She had like entered this contest. It was the same contest I did, but she had won, but she already owned a copy of Half-Life. So she basically messaged me and she's like, "Hey, would you like the code?" And I'm like, "Sure." That was the day I actually created a Steam account, because before that I never had a Steam account. So my very first game on Steam was the original Half-Life. So always wanted to play that first before I played this. I have played it. I've played it a little bit. I had a hard time getting used to using a keyboard and mouse and whatnot, but I really should take a crack at this at some point. That's for sure. This is another game I need to guilt myself into playing, because I have all these darn games, that I haven't had time to play that I need to play. Just too many games, first world problems, right? Up next is Jade Empire. Jade Empire. This is one of those games a lot of people talk about on the original Xbox as being a bit of a hidden gem. I remember for the longest time it was really, really cheap to find. So, up next, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. And of course, this is the Platinum version. These games always seem to go pretty cheap on the original Xbox, and I think that's because, one, they're available on modern platforms. They're available on everything nowadays. It's not hard to find these games anymore, so I see why it's super cheap on the original Xbox. Up next is the Mega Man Anniversary Collection on Xbox. Mega Man Anniversary Collection, what can I say? Is it the best version of the games? Is it the best way to play those games anymore? Not really, when you consider you have the Mega Man Legacy Collections 1 and 2 now, and those play, on HD TVs and were designed for a modern TV. But it is nice that they're all on one of the same disc. I think that is pretty cool, but overall, is it necessary? I mean, not really. It's not really necessary, but if you're going to get a version, I think having the Xbox version makes the most sense personally. That's just my opinion. Up next is Still Life. Still Life. Why did I get this? I actually don't remember anything about this game. I remember I got it really, really cheap. That's what I remember about it. Up next is The Bible Game. This will not work on an Xbox 360. That's GWiz info. I think I got this at Disc Replay in Rockford, I want to say. I think that's where I got it, yeah. Up next is Celebrity Deathmatch. This is one of those games that's available on a bunch of different systems. Like, it's on PS2. I think that was a cheap thrift store find. Up next, Max Payne 1 and 2. Max Payne 1 and 2. Man, Max Payne was really something back in the day. Oh my gosh, the whole bullet time thing, that was just really, you had never seen anything like that on a video game at the time, and it was really something else. And yeah, I remember just being totally blown away when I saw that, and I remember grabbing that game for the first time, and I was playing it in my dorm room, I want to say, back in the day, and I just couldn't believe it. I mean, I was like, this is so freaking cool, video games will never get better than this, and the graphics haven't aged that great, but up next we got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Battle Nexus. I bet you guys can guess why I chose to get this game back in the day. I got this because the thing that was really cool is you could unlock the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game on here. That's why I got this particular game. Because I was not much of a fan of the later Turtles game past the 8 and 16-bit era. But the fact that this had the unlockable arcade version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles really enticed me to get it. When I first got my Dreamcast back in 2012 and started my retro game journey, the first game I ever got was Shenmue. So I had to have the sequel, Shenmue 2. Shenmue 2. Now, the unfortunate thing is this particular copy does not have the second disc, which actually has the story of the first game and whatnot. But it does have the manual still, and I got it from a place called Game Trader. And I don't know if you guys can tell here, but it still has the Game Trader logo or whatever around it. I got this, I think it was Antelope, California, this place called Game Trader. I used to go there quite a bit to buy retro games back in the day when I was still stationed in California. I actually lived up in the Sacramento area for a little bit there. And I absolutely loved Game Trader. I would go in there. I got some really, really good deals. I think about it now and I'm like, I had no idea how good the deals I was getting were at the moment. I remember getting like Turtles in Time on SNES for like $15 and Link to the Past for like $15 because this place Game Trader back in the day, and this was like over 10 years ago, they wouldn't really clean their cartridges. They just like put them on there, you know, and it was kind of up to you to clean them yourself, but they charged so little money. It was such a good deal. It was worth the time, you know, to clean the carts and save all that money. So yeah, Game Trader was fantastic. It's crazy too. It's like you don't even really need this anymore in some respects because there's obviously Shenmue 1 and 2, you know, it's not really remastered. It's remastered-ish. You know, it's, you know, you could play it on modern systems like PS4 and Xbox One, but there's certain things they've removed and stuff like that because of licensing issues and stuff like that. So I still keep my original Shenmue on Dreamcast and, of course, this Xbox version, of course. I don't have the Dreamcast version of Shenmue 2. That'd be really cool if I could ever come across that. Obviously, it wouldn't play on my Dreamcast, but still, it'd be nice to have that for sure. But this is okay. This is good enough for me nonetheless. So next, we got Fable. That's right, the original Fable. I remember a buddy of mine in the dorms had this game, and I remember thinking, wow, that just blows my mind because of all the freedom you have in this particular game. It was really something else at the time. I remember there was so much hype about Fable back in the day. I don't have Fable 2 or 3, and I don't know why. It's one of those games I see it around and I think I have it and then I don't have it because I'm not keeping too close a track of what Xbox games I have, which is why I make videos like this because one, I can guilt myself into playing games, and two, I can actually start to remember and keep track because I'm actually looking at and talking about these games with you guys, and it's kind of a fun thing for me to do. Up next, we got Armed and Dangerous. Armed and Dangerous. This was a cheap thrift store find. I don't know anything about this game. Up next is Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Don't know too much about this game. I remember having it when it was new back in the day, and then I think I traded it in or something. Yeah, I don't know a lot about this game. I have a lot of fond memories actually playing the original Wolfenstein on PC. That was the first PC game I ever played. Isn't that crazy to think? And I think I was maybe like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. Oh man, but that game was something else. Up next is Batman Begins. Now I have some things to say about Batman Begins. Batman Begins is actually a really good Batman game, honestly. It was probably the best Batman game at the time that had come out in a lot of years. You know, a lot of people were pretty upset with like Batman Dark Tomorrow and games like that just really were just so clunky and awkward. Whereas Batman Begins is basically a Splinter Cell game, but with Batman, and it works really well. And there's like FMV scenes, you know, that actually from the movie and stuff. And most of the cast actually reprises their roles as the characters in the game too, which is really freaking cool. This game, of course, came out before Arkham Asylum and Arkham City or whatever. And, you know, those games are amazing. Can't say enough about those games. I have those on PS3, I want to say. I probably should try to pick them up on Xbox 360 at some point or get them, you know, on PS4. Obviously I could get them that way because there's Return to Arkham collection I think now, and I think I have Arkham Knight on PS4, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, can't say enough about Batman Begins. I need to get the GameCube version as well. I don't have it on GameCube, but I don't know why, but I really like to get it on GameCube because I don't have enough GameCube games as it is. But yeah, can't say enough about Batman Begins. Big fan of the movie. Like, I have it on everything. I have it on DVD, Blu-ray. I even have a VHS copy of Batman Begins. But I'm going to, you know, someday make a video talking about my VHS collection. There's a few more VHS tapes I want to get before I actually make a VHS collection video, but that might happen down the road here, so stay tuned for that in the future. Up next is Destroy All Humans. I think this is available on modern platforms now. This game, I played it a lot of years ago. I want to say I played it like 15 years ago or something like that. And I remember it being pretty zany and out crazy and looked like a lot of fun. So it's been a while. I should revisit that one again for sure. Up next is Legacy of Kain Defiance. Don't know too much about this game. I have a lot of fond memories playing the Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver game. I think it was on like PS1, I want to say. Don't quote me on that, but that That's a game I remember renting back in the day. Next is Silent Scope, the Complete Collection. I have not touched these games, honestly, to be honest, but I do have the gun that works with this, believe it or not. That was one of those, I bought it somewhere, can't remember where, but I remember it smelled like smoke. So to get rid of the smoke smell, I put a lot of like dryer sheets in it or whatever. That's a pro tip. You know, if you ever get something that's got a lot of smoke or whatever, it was not from a smoke-free home, use dryer sheets and just cover that thing in dryer sheets and you'll get that smell out. But yeah, I do have the gun that goes with it that was designed for it, believe it or not. So which is why I picked that collection up to begin with. Area 51. It's weird that this even exists, honestly. I don't even know if I've ever tried it, to be honest. I have a lot of memories of, again, PS1 Area 51. I remember playing that with my buddy Andy. We used to play that all the time back in the day. Never played the Xbox version. Need to play it. And I mentioned this game before, and of course that is Red Dead Revolver. Red Dead Revolver is so dang good. It has so many brilliant Western cliches. I still prefer Red Dead Redemption over it because it's a little less lit. I still prefer Red Dead Redemption because of it's not very linear. And I remember in this game, there was a certain point I had to play as like a Native American or something, and I got really stuck there for whatever reason. And I don't think I ever finished the game, but a buddy of mine finished the game because I remember watching him play it because he could get a lot farther in this game than I could. I definitely want to revisit this game at some point for sure. Up next is The Punisher. I have a lot of fond memories, once again, of playing this on PS2. A buddy of mine had this game, and I remember watching him play it, and I tried it out. I remember, like, you can interrogate people and, you know, kill people, obviously. It's just like it sounds. It's a game about the Punisher. You know, it's the Punisher. Up next, Project Gotham Racing 1 and 2. You know, you're racing exotic cars. I don't know what else I could say about it. Up next, we got Forza Motorsports. I love on the cover it says, better than Gran Turismo 4, Electronic Gaming Monthly. I can't believe EGM said that. That's crazy. But, you know, there are some beautiful looking cars and a lot of, you know, officially licensed cars and stuff like that. It's a good looking game, you know, still even to this day. I mean, I think it looks pretty good for an original Xbox game and whatnot. But, yeah, can't go wrong with Forza. Up next is Total Immersion Racing. I can't remember if I liked this game or not. This was another cheap thrift store find. That much I do remember about it. And I remember I had a little bit of fun with it. Up next are the NASCAR games. That's right. We got NASCAR 03, 04, 05, 06, and 07. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I never enjoyed playing these on Xbox as much as I enjoyed playing them on PS2. I think NASCAR 2004, of course, is, you know, a lot of people consider like the pinnacle of NASCAR games as far as having such an in-depth career mode. And then 2005, they kind of simplify the career mode pretty significantly, but you have, you know, all three series. Now, unfortunately, NASCAR Dirt to Daytona never came to Xbox, but it did come to PS2 and GameCube. Now, there is a NASCAR Heat 2002 on the original Xbox, and that is on my list to get. And some people say that's the best NASCAR Heat game that isn't NASCAR Dirt to Daytona. And one thing that really stands out about that version of the game, of course, compared to the PS2 version, which I do have, is the fact that it has 43 cars, whereas the other one I think had like 20-something. So that is big on my list of games I want to get. I've talked in great detail about my favorite NASCAR games in my, I think it was a PS2 collection video I did a while back, you know, like how building a PS2 collection for $100 video. I talked in great detail about NASCAR 2005. Not a fan of 06 and 07. I hated the whole total team control aspect because personally I think it made the games too easy. So, and I'm glad they did away with that in 08 and 09. NASCAR 08 and 09 were on Xbox 360, but were not on the original Xbox. So obviously that's why I would not have gotten those games on original Xbox, because they weren't available. The 6th gen versions of NASCAR 08 and 09 were only available on PS2. So now the next few games I'm going to go through pretty quickly just because I don't have much to say about them, to be honest. Midnight Club 2, Driver 3. I remember playing Driver on the PS1 back in the day, but I never got to this one at all. So it's another game I need to take a look at. Need for Speed Carbon. Can't say too much about that. Chronicles of Riddick. This was a cheap thrift store find. I think I got it for like $4. And New Legends. I have no idea what this game's about. Not a clue. Another cheap thrift store find. Up next is the original Halo. I talked already a little bit about this because I have the Xbox 360 Anniversary Edition. I don't know why I have this. I don't really need this. Maybe I'll get rid of it since I have the Anniversary Edition. Unless you guys think there's a reason I should keep it. Got Halo 2. Halo 2. Yeah, I played this a little bit. Had a lot of fun with it. Up next is Project Snowblind. Now, my first experience playing this game is actually playing it on Xbox. This game is one of those games it's on, seems like it's on everything. It's on PS2. It was on other things. But yeah, love this game, man. It's a fun first-person shooter. You play as this second lieutenant. He's basically been turned into like part cyborg or whatever. And he, yeah, and he's got like, gets like upgrades and stuff like that. Yeah, this game, I had a lot of fun when I played it back in the day, and I remember thinking, man, this is incredible. So it's been a long time. It's been a long time since I played it, but I did have a lot of fun with it. Next, we got my James Bond game collection. We got From Russia with Love. This was Sean Connery actually did his own voice. And, you can tell he's aged quite a bit since the original movie. But I really liked the movie, honestly. So it was really neat playing this. It doesn't quite exactly follow the movie, but, it is From Russia with Love, And it was cool seeing Sean Connery reprise the role of James Bond, even if it was only in voice. 007 Agent Under Fire, of course. This was an all brand new story. This was kind of a big deal, actually, because, it was a totally new story. It wasn't related to any of the movies. Up next is 007 Nightfire. Now, as far as multiplayer goes, this is the definitive experience because it has 4 players, and obviously the PS2 version, I want to say, only had 2 players. So, yeah, the Xbox version is definitely the way to go when it comes to this game. Yeah, great seeing Pierce Brosnan as James Bond. I might be a hot take, but Pierce Brosnan is like my favorite James Bond, at least from my childhood, even though I really like Daniel Craig as the character. Sean Connery was awesome. Roger Moore was all right. Lazenby, I thought, did really good, considering he was only in the role one time. And Dalton, I think, is one of the most like close to the book version of the character. But yeah, there's been a lot of good James Bonds. I can't wait to see who they cast next as James Bond. I don't care who they cast really, but I hope whoever it is does a really good job. So up next, we've got a few Sega related Xbox games. I talked about Shenmue 2. I think everybody has this game, and it's Sega GT 2002. And then on the back, it's got Jet Set Radio Future. I played the original Jet Set Radio on the Sega Dreamcast, and I have such a hard time with that game. For whatever reason, I just can't figure out how to play that game. So I might give this future version, the sequel, a go at some point for sure. Oh, and before I go over the final game in my collection, I want to go talk about all the loose discs I have. I have Oddworld Munch's Odyssey, X-Men Legends, and Pirates Legend of Black Cat. Those are the only loose ones I have. And finally, the last game in my entire collection is for this video. And of course I'm saving it for last, and that is Outrun 2. Outrun 2. Oh man, Outrun 2 is quite good. It is a very fun game. I had a hard time learning how to drift a little bit here at the beginning, but it's one of those games I think it looks darn good on an original Xbox. I've tried playing it on the Xbox 360 and it just felt a little off. It felt a little off. I feel like it just plays right on the original Xbox. That's just my opinion. I think that's the best way to go. It's a shame it's not backwards compatible with Xbox One and Xbox Series, but yeah, Outrun 2, man. This is, I've heard this is better than 2006. The only version of 2006 I have, of course, is on PSP, so I don't think that's a very good comparison, but a lot of people have said that this is the best version of Outrun 2 or whatever, as far as games go. So Anyways, that is my Xbox and Xbox 360 collection. If you've made it this far with me, thank you so much for watching and listening. I know some people are probably, doing the dishes in the background listening to this or something, but I really appreciate, you guys listening to my, talk about the games, and some games I had more to say than others, but I just want to show off what I have here in my collection. So what are your guys' thoughts? What's your favorite Xbox game and Xbox 360 game? Comment below. Love to hear what you have to say. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching and stay awesome in this universe. Thanks. Bye.